Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Jaron, Ennis, fully locked in. He's targeting undisputed people. He says he's here to collect all the belts. Stan Eunice is saying, I'm here to do the same. But the thing is, nobody's really asking Stan Eunice about him going on and becoming an undisputed champion. It's almost like it's a foregone conclusion that Jaron Boots Ennis is going to beat Stan Eunice and then go on to, hopefully they can make a fight between Barrios and Norman Jr. and then he fights the winner. If not, he probably have to pick them off one by one. But it looks to me that Jaron Boots Ennis is, the uncrowned, undisputed champion at 147, and hasn't even beat Stan Eunice yet. But I tell you what, Jaron successfully clipped Karen Chikadzian in a rematch. How much value can you put into that win? Okay? And there's a reason why that match came under fire. But I tell you what, Jaron Boots Ennis got hit more than usual in that rematch. And that has a lot of people saying, okay, this fight with Stan Eunice, although we think Boots wins, he can't enter the fight with Stan Eunice with the same approach he used for Chikadzian, which is claiming he wasn't as motivated because he had already beat him one time before. He ended up, I'd say, underestimating him or not having the discipline to lock in camp the way he needed. So they're saying no excuses going into this weekend. So they fully expect Boots to be dialed in on the task at hand and to just totally vaporize Mantis Stan Eunice. But I'll say this, man. Boots is ready to collect all the belts, and it's only right that you consider him a knockout artist because the man's knockout ratio, okay? But remember they wanted Boots to go fight Virgil Ortiz. Now, I'm trying to figure out this Virgil Ortiz Jr. fight that I truly believe Eddie Hearn never wanted Boots to go to 154 and do that. I think that was Eddie Hearn's way of helping to grow Boots' profile a little more, almost to expedite the process. Anyway, I think it worked. I don't know how well it worked, but it worked because here we are talking about it. But supposedly talks broke down. Of course the talks broke down, man. Ennis wants to stay at 147. Now they say he put duck sauce on the fried rice. He didn't want to fight Virgil Ortiz. Let me tell you something. He was never going to go there. This is Eddie Hearn, Fast Eddie, man, doing what he does. But the bottom line is, he says he wants to focus on 147, and he's doing that. And I'm just telling you, man, when he says he's here to collect all the belts, Saturday he has his opportunity, man, to pick up the WBA and IBF and the Ring Magazine champion. And they talk about what's next. I just tell you, it just shocks me that he actually came out here and was talking a little bit about what's next and trying to get all the belts, but still saying he's dialed in because I thought that he was turning down those questions and not answering them. But he actually came out here and talked a little bit about it. And he even mentioned, who he feels is the number one and number two in the division. He felt it was him and Stan Eunice. So what that tells me is if he clips Stan Eunice, he feels that, hey, he beat the number two. So then the 3 and 4 guys shouldn't be much of a challenge. Anyway, he plans on putting the hands on everybody at 147. And once he gets to everybody at 147, he's going to bubble up. I will say this. When it comes to Boots, he's not really on the internet that much. I know that he doesn't have a presence on Twitter and stuff like that. All I see him say is, was a good service at church. Like I see he posts that pretty consistently. But bottom line is, man, I just think for me, the future for Jaron Boots Ennis, I know he wants to collect all the belts. That guy, Brian Norman Jr., people keep saying Brian Norman Jr. is a nobody. He hasn't proved himself. When I watch Brian Norman Jr. fight, I see something special. I'm just telling you, I do. I see something special about Brian Norman Jr. I don't see that with a lot of these other fighters. I see something special about him, and I know he hasn't faced a big name. I know he was in talks to fight Jaron Boots Ennis, I'm just telling you, man. I just think people need to understand, man. It, Jaron Boots in is becoming undisputed. I know people are already giving him the crown. I don't know it's gonna be that easy, man. Getting through standing units is not gonna be easy, but if he does it, outstanding. I expect him to do it. Barrios, that's a tough fight too, but I think he gets through Barrios. I just think Barrios has too much scar tissue. But Barrios is gonna fight. Brian Norman Jr. I look at his last fight, made the adjustments. True, nobody really knew who the Puerto Rican guy was, but when he fought Santillán, I'm gonna tell you, I thought Santillán was gonna destroy Brian Norman Jr. I said because of what Santillán did to Rocha, he almost killed that dude. I was like, ain't nobody beating Santillán, and Norman Jr. handled that dude. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't expect that. Just like you just don't know what kind of shock you're gonna get this weekend with Stan Eunice and Boots fights. But Boots wants to collect all the belts. Gets through Stan Eunice. I think the real fight at 147. I talk about Mean Machine, but I'm talking about right now as far as the champions is that Boots and Brian Norman Jr. Man, I just hope Eddie Hearn doesn't mess it up this time with the offer. You know, if you overpaid Charles Martin to fight AJ so AJ can get the belt, I'm not saying overpay Brian Norman Jr., but pay them dudes, man. Boots wants to become undisputed. You believe in Boots. Pay him. Pay them. And let them get it on. But I will tell you this, that Boots, especially if he picks up this belt from Stan Eunice, he's the A side. You know what I'm saying? And a victory, like I said, a victory over Stan Eunice makes him the A side. Makes those fights much easier. There ain't no argument about purse split and all that shit. You're kind of in a position where those fighters have to take whatever Boots and Eddie Hearn gives them. Simple, man. You'll have a whole lot of leverage, man. And I wonder if Saudi Arabia and Turki Al-Sheikh want to get involved with that fight. If it's for undisputed, I can see Turki Al-Sheikh wanting to get involved. But that's probably the point where Turki would insert himself. I just think, man, when you take a look at what's going on here, Barrios, Norman Jr., man, shit. Look, I don't know. I honestly don't really know. But one thing I'll say about this division is, right now there is no Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. You know, they don't have this myriad of names to pull from. Really, 147 is it's kind of become a little bit interesting because you got Ryan Garcia there, Rolly there, you got Devin there now, Tiafimo's there now, but they haven't quite inserted himself into the conversation yet. But still, 147 is not as stacked as it was when you had those aforementioned names in there. But it's not Boob's fault. If he can successfully get through everybody, I think the only logical next step is for him to bump up to 154. But that's where the winning streak could come to an end, because 154 is no joke. But anyway, Boots says, look, I'm ready to collect all the belts. I'm different, and I'm going to show everybody why they should take me serious. I'll tell you what, the weekend can't get hit quick enough. You know what I'm saying? It can't get hit quick enough. Anyway, we'll see if Eddie Hearn drops the ball or if he gets it right to make sure Boots isn't out here spinning his wheels and fighting mandatories and wasting his time, because I don't think he's going to get motivated to face mandatories. I think Boots, his thing is going from this fight into another unification and then to a fight for undisputed. Having to fight mandatories, I don't see him being motivated. And that's where shit could go left. Anyway, keep cool. Ennis ready to collect all the belts. I'm ready to see if he can do it. I'm in the breeze.